On January the 2nd, I tried to take my life by hanging myself. Due to the fact that for 40 years, and I found that out after speaking to counsellors, psychologists and so forth, I've been suffering from mental health and depression since I was probably about 13 or 14. Now, the one thing is it's back and forwards, it was up and down. It was a culmination of situations such as relationships with parents, stress of school, stress of work, stress of sort of reaching certain levels. I was quite good at sport when I was younger. Plus things going into the 90s, marriage, children, businesses, lots of combinations in terms of sort of what I went through over many years, but I didn't really understand it. I lied to a lot of people because I couldn't deal with a lot of things, and the fact that you hurt so many people is that you don't mean to, but you can't involve them because you can't own up to how ill you feel. And the pain in my head was just constant. Because the one thing about depression is you always think the next day you'll wake up and everything will be all right.
Yeah.
And it isn't. It just gets progressively worse. And you know, you do destroy a lot of lives, and not purposely. You know, not destroy is the wrong word. You hurt a lot of people that are in your life. I'd lost touch with my mother. I'd lost touch with my son. I hadn't seen my son since 2017. So Christmas Day was bad. And then New Year's Eve was even worse. And then January the 2nd, I decided that was it. And I'd spoken to a British dad on that afternoon. He was going to lend me some money. And I didn't want to lend any money. And so I spoke to him and I said, look, you know, thanks, bye. And I put the phone down, and he knew there was something wrong with me. And then I posted at about 6 o'clock, hi dads, bye dads, on the British Dads Facebook page. And I shut down, and I closed off my computers, my phones, I turned off all the Wi-Fi, and I was planning to do what I was going to do. I knew what I was going to do. I was going to hang myself. I was completely sober. I knew exactly what I was doing. I had no qualms about doing it. I had practiced. I couldn't do it on the roof, off the light, because I was too heavy. So I used the handle of the door, and I practiced and knew that I'd pass out. And I put a duvet and a pillow down because I had a bad back. And it was very sort of clinical, because the one thing I had to do now was kill the pain. I couldn't take the pain anymore. I was at my absolute lowest ebb, and I had no, you know, I was leaving my son and my mother and people I loved and things like that, but I just couldn't take the pain of being ill anymore. It had got to a stage where I didn't care. So the next thing I remember was that I was coming to, and I'd been given CPR by Dubai police who had broke into my apartment. They'd found me by some sort of triangulation on my mobile, where it was last switched off or whatever it was. And they were phoned by a British dad. And the next thing I was being told, you're okay, you're safe. And I was still lying there with a belt around my neck. I couldn't really talk. And they took me to hospital, and I was given the test. I was given a once over, and I was told I was being admitted into the mental hospital for observation and tests and just to be looked after. The situation is that they gave me 24-hour police guard over 3-4 days, 8-hour shifts of these police guys who were talking to me, looking after me, giving me cigarettes, keeping me safe. And I was sort of getting looked after by the doctors. I was being given sleeping tablets, antidepressants. I was having counselling. And I didn't really know what was going on in the outside world, because I had nothing to talk to people about. I had no phones, I had no nothing. because they were taken away from you, and a lot of it was left at the place I lived at. And then after that was I was let out, and then the police took me to my house where I tried to kill myself, and the landlord didn't want to take me in, and which I understand totally. So the police put me up in a hotel, and so I stayed in the hotel for a few days, still seeing the police every day, being looked after, meeting them, going and talking to them, having my psychology courses, seeing the doctors. And I'd seen, obviously, what happened was I opened my art. I saw all the posts, so I told my story. I wrote a full story on Dubai on social media, and I think by doing that, I came clean on everything. I said exactly what I did. I mentioned who I'd hurt. I told I'd owned up to my illness. Because now I'm sort of working with other groups as an ambassador for one. I was talking to the police. They've asked me to do speeches and stuff, which I was going to do before COVID kicked in. And COVID actually helped me really, because while COVID was going on, I was getting better and I was understanding my illness. And I've now got a job. I've been able to bring the work that I wanted to do over the past few years into this company. Another British dad has helped me. I've been helped massively by all the British dads. The Facebook group has been my saviour, if you like, in terms of having an outlet to talk to guys, and guys are talking to me, and I'm doing my bit to help people. I can't cure people, but we've now got a free hospital over here for mental health that can be used. There are groups that you can use for men and for women. There's now the helplines. There's a lot of stuff going on with the healthcare groups, which are sort of making more of an effort to understand people do suffer from mental health, and depression and mental health don't just. I mean, I had an extreme case. I mean, I went to see I saw the psychologist, and he went through and said, look, you got about 12 different traits of mental health issues, but some people have got one. Some people have got one thing that screws them up, and there's no minds bigger than yours, mate. It's everyone's on the same level, and it's not just adults, it's children as well. I mean, I was going to do a golf day because I have a hashtag which is just reach out, and it's something that I always put on any of my posts because it is exactly what you need to do. You just need to reach out, and you need to talk to people, and that's the worst thing that we don't do, and especially men. And that's where the highest, the high percentage of people suffering from mental health and depression is men, because they just don't talk. They're too stubborn. But the other thing is for friends and family to notice, because if people suffer from something for probably 1 or 2 months, if you can see a difference in somebody's personality in terms of their actions, if they start, they're not going into work all the time again, if you've got workmates that are like that, these people are, they're suffering in one way. There's got to be some sort of reason for this. And, that's where we try to do so. We try to make a difference, and I'm still doing it.